President, we have a national emergency.
This is one of the things that we can shoot first and ask questions later. Normally you can't do that.
All of a sudden these trees started moving out of the way. They parted for me. And then I came out into this opening, and there where I saw Jesus Christ.
Back in 1927, an American socialist, Norman Thomas, 6 times candidate for president on the Socialist Party ticket, said the American people would never vote for socialism. But he said under the name of liberalism, the American people will adopt every fragment of the socialist program. He is more imminent.
James Madison, in 1788, speaking to the Virginia Convention, said, "Since the general civilization of mankind, I believe there are more instances of the abridgment of the freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachment of those in power than by violent and sudden usurpations."
When men were free.
Broadcasting live from a secret location buried deep below the earth, you're about to make a connection to the signs of the times. W. Dean Shook is live on the air right now.
And welcome to End Time News. I'm your host, W. Dean Shook. If you've came here to get the truth in the news, you've come to the right place, because that's exactly what we're going to do. And now we have a Pew poll that backs that up. It says 75% are better informed because of internet news sites. The survey bolsters a previous Pew poll that found many Americans shifting from print and TV to internet-based news outlets. The new survey shows that Americans are benefiting from this shift. Overall, a whopping 87% said that the internet and cell phones have improved their ability to learn new things, including 53% who say it has improved this a lot.
7 out of 10 Americans tell the Pew Research Center they are better informed today than they were 5 years ago because of the internet. It comes down to more engagement with online news, with nearly 3/4 of Americans saying they're better informed about both national and international issues. Just as importantly, despite having so much information available at the click of a button, 72% of respondents said they don't feel overloaded. This is just the latest survey showing many Americans shifting their attention away from traditional print and television news to internet news outlets. And overall, Americans think they are benefiting from that shift.
Americans like a lot of information choices. They don't feel particularly oppressed by the growing flow of material into their lives, said Lee Rainey, director of Pew's Internet Science and Technology Research. Even though all of the tech changes in the past generation, people say they're coping fine and they relish new options they have to get and share the information that matters to them the most. So thank you for that support. I'll try to bring that to you every single time. In today's program, we're going to cover a new update about the ISIS dirty bomb that I reported on last week. You won't believe what they've done. Also, a new treaty to grab American guns, and a new big bank bailout that's now law, and the slaughter of Christians. How big has this genocide really become? We're going to do this right after I play this clip and introduce a new sponsor. Please visit our website, visit our sponsors, help support this program, and I'll be right back with these stories.
Do you think the media is biased? Maybe they're leaving something out, or there's something they're not telling you. Now, you have a source for the truth in the news. W. Dean Shook, End Time News. Your connection to the signs of the times.
Hi folks, have you noticed the federal government and police departments are using drones for everything? Drones are expensive. They're hard to fly. It can take up to a week just to learn to make a drone hover. Not anymore. There's a new generation of drones that are not only affordable but very easy to fly. Now you can have your own personal drone, anything from a micro mini that'll fit in the palm of your hand, right up to a full-scale model, 10 inches in diameter like the model I have, the V949 Pro. Comes with a 6-axis 4-rotor blade and an HD 2.4 camera mounted on the bottom. These drones are made of a space-age polymer. They're durable, and don't worry about crashing your drone. Replacement blades for this drone from the website are only $1.80 for a pack of 4. That's right, I said $1.80 for a pack of 4 replacement blades. You can also get an extra long life battery. This battery allows you up to a half hour of flight time with a maximum speed of 40 miles an hour. Have your own personal drone, and you can get all of this for under $70. If you go to the website, wdeanshook.com, and click on the banner on the webpage, you can get from 7 to 22% off your personal drone. It's shipped as a kit. You can be up and flying your own personal drone with an HD camera within a half hour. Come to the webpage, wdeanshook.com. Click on that banner and get your discount today. wdeanshook.com. All right, thank you for that break, and I was proud to introduce our new sponsor. You are going to love these drones. Go to the website. There's a wide variety to pick from. You're going to love this just as much as I do, because I have one myself. All right, I reported a few days ago that ISIS had the makings of a dirty bomb. Now, the Washington Free Beacon is reporting the Islamic State's claim that radioactive device is now in Europe. Here's what it says. An alleged weapon maker for the Islamic State claimed that a radioactive device had been smuggled into an undisclosed location in Europe, according to an intelligence brief released Monday by Site Intelligence Group. A radioactive device has entered somewhere in Europe, according to Twitter user Muslim Al-Brittani, who claims to be a freelance jihadist weapons maker now working alongside ISIS. According to the tweet, captured and disseminated by Site, the claim by Al-Brittani comes just days after I reported that ISIS could have in its possession a dirty bomb. Now, if you remember, they were obtained in an earlier ISIS raid at the University Research Facility in Mosul that contained uranium. Al-Brittani is also responsible for the flurry of reports on that dirty bomb. Al-Brittani, who has disseminated on his Twitter feed weapons instructions and manuals, claimed that the Islamic State does have a dirty bomb. They admit that we had found some radioactive material from Mosul University. While it's difficult to assess the veracity of Al-Brittani's claims, U.S. officials have expressed concern about the Islamic State's potential smuggling of nuclear or radioactive material out of Iraq. U.S. and Iraqi officials inked a pact in September meant to step up efforts to combat this type of smuggling, which the United States deemed a critical threat. They said there's always concern about radiological or radioactive sources, a State Department official told the Washington Free Beacon at the time. And while the United States at the time was not aware of any cases of these types of materials being smuggled out of the country thus far, ISIS could potentially use these radioactive materials to create a crude bomb, the official said. Well, Washington does know about this. And if they don't, all they have to do is listen to End Time News, because we seem to have more information than either of our governments. At the very least, they would get the truth right here on End Time News. And you can see this full story also on the website. And here's another one I really felt I had to share. This is reported by WND that the trigger has been pulled to stop executive action on guns. President Obama's boldness in acting alone to implement amnesty for 5 million illegal aliens begs the question, what other unilateral policies might be coming down the pike? Could there be a Christmas Eve surprise? Alan Gottlieb of the Second Amendment Foundation isn't waiting around to find out. Gottlieb told WND he's launching a national media campaign this weekend to head off the possibility of executive action committing the United States to the National Arms Trade Treaty. This is also known as the UN Small Arms Treaty. It's scheduled to go into effect December 24th for those nations that have signed and ratified the document. The U.S. signed the treaty September 23rd of 2013, but has not ratified it. China and Russia have never signed the document. The Second Amendment Foundation's effort is three-pronged, Gottlieb said, involving phone calling, ad campaigns, to build public awareness, a petition drive, and a threat of legal action against the president should he take action to ratify the UN treaty without Senate approval. SAFE also launched television and radio messages in the coming days on Fox News, national talk shows like End Time News, and other outlets. Interested party can join the petition effort by calling 1-800-782-8685. Let me give that number again. 800-782-8685. He said there's not enough votes in the Senate to stop Obama because it takes 60 votes to stop a filibuster by Democrats and allow legislation to come up for a vote. That's why we're aiming at the court system. We knew from day one the Obama administration wanted to push this treaty, but they didn't want to get the gun owners up in arms before the election and mobilize this Republican base. Well, based on what he's done with amnesty, he said we have reason to believe he's doubling down on everything that he can't get through Congress now. He's going to do this through executive orders or actions, Gottlieb said. It's a case of dictator-in-chief. The UN Arms Treaty goes into effect internationally during the holiday season when many Americans will be busy shopping, planning parties, and celebrating. Here's that information again.
We need every American to take action against President Obama's next executive order against our constitutional rights by calling the number on your screen. President Obama's next assault will be against the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. President Obama supports the UN gun treaty that requires international record keeping of all gun transactions. Although this treaty would not likely be passed in Congress, President Obama could try and implement this treaty through executive order, and it is feared that he may do so by the end of the year. We need 1 million Americans to call 800-782-8685 and tell Obama that we will not allow his lawless actions. This would be a direct assault on our constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Second Amendment Foundation is going to stand up to Obama, but we need you to call now. Please call 1-800-782-8685 to sign our petition demanding Obama not take executive actions against the Second Amendment. If enough Americans stand up, we can stop Obama from another assault on our Constitution. Again, call 800-782-8685 right now.
And as reported by the economic collapse, there's a new law that makes taxpayers liable for trillions in derivative losses. If this quadrillion-dollar derivatives bubble explodes, who should be stuck with the bill? Well, these too big to fail banks have got their way. Right now, big Wall Street banks got included in this funding bill an extremely insidious provision that would keep the federal government funded past the upcoming December 11th deadline. As reported by the economic collapse, lawmakers have made taxpayers liable for trillions in derivative losses. If this quadrillion-dollar derivative bubble explodes, who would be stuck with the bill? Well, the too big to fail banks have got their way right now. Lobbyists for the big Wall Street banks got included an extremely insidious provision in the bill that would keep the government funded past December 11th. This provision allows these big banks to trade derivatives through subsidiaries that are federally insured by the FDIC. What this would mean is that the big banks would be able to continue this incredibly reckless derivatives trading without having to worry about the downside. If they win on their bets, the big banks would keep all of the profits. But if they lose their bets, the federal government would have to come in and bail them out using taxpayer money. In other words, as they continue to gamble in these derivative markets, it would essentially be a heads I win, tails you lose proposition. Just imagine this scenario. I go to Las Vegas. I place $1 million bet on who's going to win the Super Bowl this year. And if I'm correct, I keep all of the winnings. But if I lose, federal law requires you to bail me out and give me my $1 million back that I just lost. Does that sound fair? Well, of course not. In fact, this is utter insanity. But through their influence in Congress, this is exactly what the big Wall Street banks have pulled off. According to multiple Democratic sources, banks got this controversial provision in the funding legislation that would keep the government operating after December 11th. Top negotiators in the House are taking the derivatives provision seriously. They included it in the final bill. Sadly, most Americans don't understand how derivatives work, so there's very little public outrage. But the truth is, people should be marching in the streets over this. When this provision